quite ideal, but then I'll try to mention some of them. So we believe that mental health problems are rare, which is not true. People with mental health issues are violent and unpredictable. The reverse is usually the case. They are actually at a risk of suffering violence from people. Mental health issues are a sign of personal weakness. Just like how it is normal for people to have physical conditions, when you have a headache, you have malaria, you go to the hospital for help, someone else is suffering with some form of anxiety disorder or let's say psychosis, and that person is someone that you sit behind and discuss with your friends and relatives and mock because they are ill. They have a mental illness and you have a physical illness. All of you need help from the hospital. So things like mental problems don't affect children or youth. A lot of times we diagnose children of ADHD and other conditions, and then people with mental health problems can't handle work or school. We are here to learn about such things so that we can maximize our mental health to be resilient in our workplaces and in school. So some of the ways we can reduce the stigma. We can reduce stigma by educating ourselves and being aware of the intricacies or what it also teach others. When you have educated yourself and you know, you'll be able to speak up and challenge when you hear someone saying things that stigmatize people with mental health issues. And then choosing your words carefully. Some common mental health conditions whilst building your life or building your career include anxiety disorder, stress, and then depression. So if you are someone that you find yourself, a lot of times during the week you find yourself saying something like, I am stressed. Someone has said that this week several times. Please leave me, I'm stressed. Please don't come and stress me, and things like that. You know that you do it. So common signs of stress, feeling lonely, feeling overwhelmed, feeling irritable or angry. And then we have people that suffer from generalized anxiety disorders, like having excessive worry or fears, fatigue, hyperventilating. When you stand in front of people to speak, you can't even articulate or put your words together. You start sweating profusely. Words are not coming out. All these things are diagnoses, but because you do not know, you struggle with them, you mock people that you see exhibiting these symptoms. And then our very common criminal over here is depression. Elaborate more on this because it's going on a lot. We have normalized this in our culture. You are not depressed, you are possessed. Something is wrong with you. Go for the pastor to pray for you and all that. But all these things are actually things you can get actual help from. If you do not get treatment, I was so happy because when some of the speakers were talking, they spoke about some of the self-care things you can do for your mental health. And all these things, including seeking help when those personal things you are doing are not helping enough. Because even in mental health, there are stages of things and severities that only talking does not solve. So some of these things, when you get to a place where my friends' words are not encouraging me, my personal time with myself is not helping me, maybe it's time for you to step out, enter a hospital where help is given, and then get that help that you need so that you too can go out there, show the resilient mindset, work hard, and then get to the place where you have made up or you have been, positioned or set up to be in life. I think this is all I have to say for now. Thank you very much.
I'd like to take 2 questions on this particular session. If you have any question, just 2 questions. Can we get... No, you stop them. Can we get like a microphone that can go out? We can take 3 questions. So you can tell us your name, what you do, and then your question.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, great. My name is Ugochi, and I'm the CEO of Hair by Ugo. I have a couple of questions. One is, how do you know that it's time to seek medical help? At what point do you know that, okay, you know, this symptoms or behavioral patterns require help? And the second would be, you know, the psychiatric doctors, I don't know if that's what you guys are called, are not found in regular hospitals. So it feels usually very weird to go to the hospital, which is like tagged a mental health hospital, you know. Are you found in regular hospitals where people can go to without being stigmatized? Are there private practices as well where people can go to so that they are attended to without feeling like I've gone mad?
Okay. So to answer the first question, I believe that under normal circumstances, when some of the symptoms that I've mentioned persist in your life, it doesn't have to be, okay, I feel like I'm feeling lonely, I'm having thoughts of wanting to die, I have actually attempted trying to die, but because I haven't gone through with it, there's no need for me to go to hospital. Or maybe you have a relative who hasn't attempted to actually commit, but you've seen them go through all these things. You don't actually need to wait. You need to go and see a doctor, and they decide the severity of whatever you are going through and give you the appropriate medication, or if it's just simple therapy. Because something that you may see as not severe may actually be quite severe, because there are some symptoms that we pick up that the patient is unaware is actually a symptom even. It's not like other medical conditions where this lab is this. It's through conversation. To answer the second question, yes, because of that tag, which is what we are trying to fight, because we are trying to take away the stigma from mental illnesses, so that we will not be looking at people who enter mental facilities as, oh, this person, because we treat migraines. So why is it that someone with psychosis is, oh, he's mad, and then someone with migraine is, they are private people, but a major issue we have in Africa right now is that we don't have a lot of psychiatrists. In fact, I was very shocked 2 weeks ago. I was speaking with two doctors, one from Gambia, one from Sierra Leone, currently doing their residency. And they said, the Gambian said he's the first psychiatrist, like when he graduates and does his membership, he'll be the first psychiatrist in Gambia. Yes. And that is because of the stigma, because the stigma doesn't only exist among the citizens, even in practice. In fact, my own relatives were shocked when I decided to stop surgery and do psychiatry, because of that stigma. Oh, you are a mad person's doctor. But it could happen to anybody. I mean, there are people who work in offices and then one day, like 63-year-old man owns his business, then suddenly one day they look for him, they can't find him. He has started getting lost, they can't find him. He goes here, he can't find his way back home and all that. Alzheimer's disease and stuff. It will be difficult to find private places, but they exist. But because we are few, very few people have those practices. So I'd still like you to put away that shame and seek help, because at the end of the day, you will be saving yourself. And if something happened to you, those same people that were pointing fingers at you will be the same people talking about, why didn't she go to the hospital? So,
or is there a place to go? So I think that's what's important to know. If I'm University of Ghana and I feel like I need to talk to somebody, where do I go? And I think that's one of the main issues that there is. Where do people go at every stage when they feel that they need to go somewhere? Do they have to come to Accra Psychiatric Hospital, or are there places they can go to? Because it's really important. And maybe just if you are in the place that you can add your voice, so that even on campuses, you can have a place where people can go to and they can speak to people about the things that are bothering them.
Okay. So with the current knowledge that I have, I know that the main psychiatric places where we have psychiatrists, Accra Psychiatric Hospital, that's where most of the specialists are planted, Pantine Hospital. But then, you see, when I mention the names, you hear the stigma behind those names. And then Kolebu Teaching Hospital, they also have psychiatrists, Ankafo, Ho Teaching Hospital, and then Okomfanochi Teaching Hospital. But yes, you have to see a psychiatrist because the psychiatrist determines the severity of your condition and refers you to see a psychologist if it's just simple psychotherapy you need. If it's a condition where you need medications, we decide that. You can see a psychologist. There are private psychologists that actually see patients, and then when they see that it's too severe, they refer to the psychiatrist to see. But the primary place I would advise is for you to actually come straight to the psychiatrist, and then we will make the referral, to the psychologist if it's necessary for now. We are working on actually, because all this community, having all these small places where people can come and then share their issues, but it's not something that is quite common. It's just, like currently we are in a mental health month, so people have to travel to other regions and all that just to have these talks, but it's not readily available, and that's an issue that we are facing. So for now, I'd advise that you should actually walk into the psychiatrist hospital and not feel, terrible about that, because you're actually doing it for your own good. After all, when you are on your stage and then you are speaking, nobody will see whatever is written on your forehead. They will see the message that you carry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Helen Conde. Thank you so very much. And you can tell that by the questions. I know that our keynote speaker, Josephine, had something to say, so I'm just giving her 10 seconds.
Well, if you remember in my speech, I said I had gone jaywalking before. Well, when I came here, I didn't look like a mad person, did I? I know I have a lot of people who say, don't say this thing, they'll say you are not okay. But the truth is, there are many people who are overwhelmed. Don't wait to go jaywalking. I don't think I was warned that today, this walk that I'm going, I'll come back at 11. It doesn't warn you sometimes. So when you feel burdened, you feel overwhelmed, seek help. There's no embarrassment about it. If after today you see me differently, that's your problem. I'm okay with it. Yes, because a lot of people are going through so much and they are wallowing in it and they're killing themselves. It's very important that you seek help. Speak to a therapist today. Find one. There are people there. They'll help you out. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much, Auntie Josephine. Thank you so much. So it's very obvious that when you are not well, okay, the reason why I'm smiling is because I have like one of my cousins. She surprised me. Hi, Aaron. That's why I'm smiling. Excuse me. I was just so happy to see her. Anyways, so it's very obvious that when you are not well mentally, other parts of your life can definitely will not thrive. So it's very important that we take our mental health seriously. I remember yesterday at dinner, we're having dinner together, and I happened to be with Morenike's mom. She said something that was so profound. She said that we should learn to talk to ourselves. We should talk to ourselves all the time and talk to ourselves in positive affirmations. We should know that, indeed, we are the pastors of our own lives before anybody will pastor us. So I encourage you all to keep speaking to yourself, to know that you are the driver of your own life. And that brings us to our next session, our next panel session, which is the second panel session that talks about emotional healing and self-discovery. This emotional healing and self-discovery, we have 15 minutes to do this panel session. And indeed, the persons on this panel are very fit to do this particular topic because of certain things that they have experienced in their lives. I would just take the opportunity to call on a very tenacious lady who also embodies resilience. She's the lead consultant and strategist at Advanced Consulting, where she helps entrepreneurs build strategic, structured, and sustainable business. She likes to describe herself as the proof of God's goodness. She likes to describe herself as what? Beyond her work in consulting, she's a versatile thought leader who shares her insights through various platforms. Her acclaimed blog and podcast, Growing Together with CI, serves as vibrant avenues for sharing profound wisdom gleaned from her personal faith journey. Additionally, she's an author of You Are Enough, a faith-based manual designed to dismantle falsehood about identity and illuminate God's unconditional love and our rich resourcing. Drawing from her own experiences, she frequently speaks about the interplay between faith, grief, and emotional healing. Through her speaking engagements and written work, she endeavors to bring healing, empowerment, inspiration, transformation to individuals and organizations alike, guided by her unwavering faith of God's transformative power. Shall we all welcome Chimaamaka Ige, my friend and one of my healing partners. It will interest you that she shared her story and actually connected with her on Instagram. So her Instagram handle is Chimaamaka.Ige, if you to follow her as well. And like one of our speakers said, the world has become closer and closer, and indeed you can connect to people in so many ways, and that's how I connected with her. Our next panelist is a young graduate from Kwame Nkrumah University of Technology who graduated with a degree in art and industry and is the CEO and founder of Hype Media. Hype Media happens to be a Ghanaian-based media production that has a lot of style, depiction, and what it does is it depicts truth and beauty through photography and videography. This gentleman started his career whilst he was a student of KNUST. Did you hear that? Start from where you are. He started from university with some friends who were into photography whilst he just had, photo and video editing skills. And then these skills, he later developed his skills in photography after his friend disappointed him. So think about it. He had a challenge. He repurposed his challenge. According to him, he was contracted and paid he was paid for a wedding program. As to how it worked, what went on, you definitely hear about it here. He has worked with a number of social and environmental theme organizations, as well as covering celebrity assignments. Hype Energy Group has provided media content to a wide segment of individuals and commercial brands like EIB Network, Empire Media, Boss Models of South Africa, Miss Ghana UK Foundation, Miss Ghana UK Diaspora Affairs Office of the President, KCR Express, and London and top celebrities. He's inspired by his environment. He finds himself building various ideas, and he's also very inspired by a lot of international brands like Range Rover, Baileys, Mercedes, and Fox Entertainment. We're happy to say to welcome Mr. Sadiq Moore, the founder and the CEO of Hype Lens, who is actually supporting us with everything that has to do with the media. Moderating this panel for emotional healing and self-discovery is actually me. So I'm just going to get into it. So I was just asking myself, am I going to read my own bio? Like, how do I go about it? But I'm not going to do that. But you can follow me on Selassie Tete, SELASSIETETTEY, and you can follow Sadiq on Sadiq Moore. So this session is emotional healing and self-discovery. And I'm happy to have my panelists here. I hope we don't shed tears, because it's going to be a very emotional session. But Chimaamaka, no, I think we'll start with Sadiq. Sadiq, I just want to ask you, I'm sure the crowd will want to know, what actually struck and what What happened? What changed your life in your 20s? What did you not see coming? Tell us.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Is your microphone working?
Hello?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Right. My name is Sadiq Moore, CEO of High Plains Africa and More Media Group. Growing up had been very challenging. I didn't really see losing my entire family. When I say my entire family, I mean my mom and dad at very crucial moments of my life, especially when I was writing my final exams, WASSCE exams, that's the WAEC exams. I think I had written about 3 papers, and then...
Was it the WASSCE exam to take you to secondary school or university, which is where we just want clarity?
To go to the university.
Okay.
Right. So it was very crucial and very important stage of my life. And so I was there. I was just preparing for the 4th paper, and I think it was elective maths. So I had a call from the, I think the assistant headmaster. It was like they need me at the staff common room. In fact, when I was in secondary school, I was a favorite person, very smallish and almost everywhere. Like I joined all the groups on campus, from SU to GAMSU, that's the Methodist Union, the prayer groups on campus.
Okay.
So, very popular. During speech and prize giving, I take all the awards.
Okay.
And then I was also on government scholarship as well. And you know, my school is named after the current king of Ashanti, that is Osei Tutu. So Osei Tutu Secondary School. So I was, during one of the speech and prize giving day, I was awarded a bursary scholarship from the king.
Okay.
So I had 2 scholarships. So in fact, when they called me, I thought it was the usual, oh, come and do this, come and do that. And also, I also had the opportunity to be elected as the SRC vice president. I had a lot of, portfolios on campus.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the normal, usual stuff, come to the staff common room and do stuff. So they sat me down. I entered. Everybody looked a bit some way. They were all looking at me some way. So they told me to sit down. I sat down. And they started quoting Bible verses.
In the staff common room?
In the staff common room.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, what's happening? So they were like, don't cry, everything will be fine. God knows what is going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
And what had happened to your
and
parents?
Like, you've lost your mom and they need you at home. So right after your 4th paper, you have about 3 days so I can probably rush home and come back, whatever. So, I mean, it was tough because I remember the very song I sang when I heard the news. I remember this song, It Is Well With My Soul. It's a Methodist hymn. Whatever the Lord had taught me to know, it is well with my soul. And then I cried. Everybody came closer and comforted me. Then I had to go back.
And was your father alive at that time?
My father was alive at that time.
Okay, so what happened to him?
So he also had an acute illness.
Okay, at the time your mother
Yes.
died.
So when my mother died, I think it escalated.
Okay.
And he couldn't hold it. So that was in 2005, 2006. I was just writing my exams. So in 2008, my father passed. That one, I was about to enter KNUST. I had had my admission. So I needed him critical because I had to pay my admission fee, pay my school fees, gather all the necessary things to get ready for first year, fresher.
And that's what happened.
So 1 week after I got the university admission, my father passed. And
Okay, and then hold it there. Okay, hold it there. We'd like to hear from Chimamaka as well. Yeah. Yeah, so for Chimamaka, for you, what really... So I hear from Sadiq that, Sadiq, for you, when you entered the staff hall, you just thought that it was going to be one of those things that were going to say that you had also won another scholarship, but it wasn't so. And I also hear from you that you were very grounded in, what's it called, in God, in faith with God and all that, even with the song that you even sang, hearing that your mother had passed. So for Chimamaka, for you, I want you to tell us what shook your faith. What shook your faith with God as you walked in your journey of faith? What shook your faith?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chimamaka. So 2011, my dad was murdered on Christmas morning. What shook my faith? We were a... Sorry? we a Christian family, right? My father was an assistant pastor. My mother was a minister as well. So, hey, you're not raised to expect that. I mean, God is good, God is kind. You know, if you do the right things, the Lord will take sickness away from you. Know, all the scriptural promises that we're raised with. So it just seemed like a complete contradiction between the good God you knew and the painful experiences that we were now going through as a family. So, like I said, my dad was murdered. It was not pleasant.
It was on Christmas Day?
Yes, on Christmas morning.
Wow.
Sunday morning on Christmas Day, yes. And then 5 years, I mean, that came with a lot of things, from police drama to a series of events, right? And then 5 years later, I walked into my mom's room and she had passed. So it was just me and her at home. Yeah, that's what happened.
So, Chimamaka, I just want to ask you, in this, right, I'm sure you've gone through an emotional healing, you're still going through your own emotional healing.
Yes.
I want to know, as Christians, what do you think may hinder that emotional healing process for us?
Okay.
Because, mind you, this is the Grow with Rennie Ghana experience, it's a resilience edition. Mm-hmm. And whilst you walk this journey of maximizing your 20s and your 30s, things will indeed happen to you. There are things that you can control, and there are things that you cannot control. From their stories, you can definitely tell that there are things that they could not control. So I want to ask you, what do you think are some of the things that could have hindered your faith with Christ? Because I'm sure you're still Christian.
Yeah.
Aren't you still Christian? You still believe in God, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So what are some of the things that could have hindered
Me accessing healing? I think the first thing, and I like the lady who spoke before me, the doctor.
Yes.
I think the first thing for us is denial. You know, we believe that we're fine. You know, you're not. You know, trauma happens, you have to address it. And also, Ms. Josephine's example, you don't know. So a lot of times we're in denial. We believe that we're okay. And in fact, there are scriptures that back up that we're okay. You know, you just different things. So you think there's denial. Let me not leave the subject. There's convenience and comparison. Healing is hard. And going on a journey of healing is hard because you have to confront, quote and unquote, your demons. You have to confront conditionings that you've held as truth over a period of time. And of course, there's comparison. Well, it happened to this person, and look at them, they're okay. So if it happened to me too, that means I should be okay. You're not them, and they're not you. And how they're processing, you don't know. The third thing I would say is excuses of nurture and background. We start to act or show symptoms in different ways, but we say, oh, that's how the people in my family are.
Okay.
Or, you know, or that's how, for example, anger. In psychology or psychiatry, one of the stages of grief, there's anger and rage. But you say, oh, people get angry, you know, I'll be okay. Or then you make confessions, I have the joy of the Lord. Yeah, you do, but you have to sort out the issues you have. And then, of course, there are half-truths and lies. That's the last thing I've written here. And I have an acronym that I like to use, Mission KSD. Mm-hmm. Look, the devil's strategy is to kill, steal, and destroy. Mm-hmm. So if there are things in your life that are killing your relationships, think about it this way. There's a triangle I like to think of. So on the top, you have God. On the left or right, depending on how you're drawing, you have people, and on the other end, you have your career or your business. Now, think of those three triangles as touch points. If anything is killing, stealing, or destroying your joy and wholeness with God, with people, or in your career, you have issues to deal with. Simple as that.
Thank you. To everyone seated in this hall, so this session is not a pity party session. This session, because I see that all of a sudden, like, there are a lot of gloomy faces. We're here to learn. We're here to navigate life. And the title of this panel session is Emotional Healing and Self-Discovery. So to Sadiq, thank you so much for that, Chimamaka.
Sorry. I would like to add one more thing. So I call it containment.
Okay.
Now, in the Bible it says, for godliness with contentment is great joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we appropriate that to mean containment. I'll read something from my book. So it says, contentment is grateful, but open to new possibilities, whereas containment believes that there isn't a need to fix what works, often stifling the Holy Spirit. So if there's an area in your life you think that this is the way I've always done it, I am always going to be, you're stuck in your ways, you need to check and be true to yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. Just building on that, Sadiq, for you, I know that this is the very first time you are publicly telling the story. You didn't go too much into details. I know there's more, and I know it's hard for you. That's how come Sadiq is actually wearing his glasses. Really. So Sadiq, we just want to ask you, through this journey, how have you discovered yourself? How has it led you to self-discovery for you to thrive and today do what you are doing in terms of your profession and being whole? I just want you to speak to someone on how it has led you on the journey of self-discovery.
Right. There's one thing we all have to admit, that life happens. Quote unquote, people will say shit happens. Like, a lot of things happen and you cannot have control over. But you need to be grounded. You need to have a very strong, mindset, very strong heart, and push it till it happens. It's tough, especially when you don't have any support base, you don't have any pillar, you don't have anyone to talk to. Like, everybody is. I remember during the funerals, one of my uncles came, was like, "Baby, I'm speaking in tree. I told you, Nyame, wherever you've gotten to in life now, it's left with you and your God." And I thought it was a joke because, during the funeral moments, they will be like, "Oh, AJB, you support you, everything will be fine."
So what it means for those who are non-Ghanaians is that your AJV's, which is his last name, what's it called? Son is alive. Oh, most definitely his legacy still goes on. We would help you.
Exactly. So your family is there. They will support you. Trust me. Your family is your mom. Your family is your dad. Honestly, if you have your mom alive, you have your dad alive, please, it's a blessing, and please cherish them. To be very honest, life has been very tough with me. How I navigated my life through university, first year to the final year, fourth year, finishing KNUST with a bachelor degree in art and industry. Doing art, if you're an artist or you're an art student, you do a lot of practicals. Mm-hmm. And it demands a lot of money spending, buying materials and stuff like that. And it was tough. You call this Uncle A, I'm busy, I'll call you back. You are worried.
So how did you navigate your days through it? And how did you discover that you wanted to go into the media and the creative arts field?
Right. So what I did was to sit myself down.
Okay.
And then talk to myself. I practiced the mirror effect. I call it the mirror effect. So I wake up every morning, I stand in front of my mirror and start making affirmations.
Okay.
Like, every day, it has been a ritual.
Okay.
Every single day, I do that. When I see, even if I'm walking around and I see a mirror, I speak to myself. When I'm bathing, I speak to myself. So I plugged myself into a self-discovery realm, or a self-builder realm, or self-encouraged realm. And I also plugged myself with God. I didn't take God out of my life. I was always praying and all that. one thing I discovered earlier was the talent I had.
Okay.
I had so much passion for art, so I decided to make it a business. So while I was on campus, I was printing T-shirts, like screen printing, tie and dye, whatever I learned at the lecture hall, I tried to practice it and make business out of it to be able to get some
Survive.
figures and then pay for my practicals and also buy some food for myself. So gradually, I also decided not to work for anyone
Okay.
because I became reserved and I didn't want to go closer to people.
Okay.
So I decided to always be in my own space, get my job done, get my pay, and then I go home. So I made sure that whatever skill I have, I get deep into it and I learn it well. And when I'm delivering a service to a client, I deliver excellence so that the clients can also recommend me to another client. So most of my projects or my breakthrough projects was purely based on recommendation.
Recommendations.
Because I deliver excellence, I'm detailed, and that had been one of the major attributes I can.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you see how the dots are connecting? You remember that one of our speakers spoke about excellence. He said he excellently did his work at that time in the process of rediscovery, and then that translated to a number of of recommendations. In the same way as well, the mirror effects that had to do with affirmations that Madame Dedo has spoken about. Do you see how they themselves, I'm sure at that time when he was even doing it, he didn't even know what it is and that he was doing. And like what Dr. Fumi said, start from where you are. So these are ways that you can build your journey when it comes to self-discovery. Now, unlike Sadiq, who says that he didn't find support from his family or any of the relationships behind him, Chimamaka, I just want to know from you, did you find support from the relationships around you? And how do relationships play a role in this emotional healing journey?
Yes, I found support in my relationships.
Yeah.
I found support in people, not necessarily family, like not necessarily people related to me by blood.
Yeah.
And I just want to sit there and say, family doesn't have to be just your blood relationships, right? So we need to invest in, when you need the relationship. I'm still benefiting from some relationships that my parents cultivated till today. For example, here right now in this room, my friend Amaka is here. I'm with her, and my husband and I consider Amaka and her husband family.
So that's Amaka sitting there. Amaka, please, can you wave to the crowd?
And she's not related to me by blood, but she's family.
So but you seem to bear the same name, if I'm...
Yes, we're namesakes, right? But we met at church. That's really how we knew each other, right? But when it comes to relationships, you have to I'll start here. First of all, you have to be self-aware enough to know your own baggage and your own peculiarities so that you do not bleed on people who did not cut you. So if you've not healed, you cannot maximize relationships. You need to invest in your healing so that you can nurture relationships the right way. Because otherwise, people who didn't do anything to you, you would blame them for your pain, and they didn't do anything. So you would end up sabotaging those relationships. Number two, you can repurpose relationships. That I started out knowing someone as a friend from university doesn't mean that the relationship has to stay there. It can grow, it can evolve. It's just like any plant. If you water it, if you give it the right nutrients, if you expose it to sunlight, it will thrive. Same thing with people, same thing with relationships. So repurpose your relationships. The fact that you may not have family, blood relatives that are supporting you doesn't mean that you should discountenance the other people in your life. Leverage them. If they're there for you, then by all means, use the help they're extending. Also be true. Don't seek to, don't seek to take only. Yes, I was going through a rough patch. I mean, like, how many years? It was 5 years between my both parents passed, and many things happened in those years. And there were other things that happened within my family. But it didn't mean that I couldn't be kind to other people. A lot of times what happens is because I'm in pain, I believe that the whole world must feel my pain and it is everybody that did me. No, it happened to you doesn't mean you have to hurt other people. be kind. Kemi talked about when you're on step 3, you can give back, right? It's interesting because the first time I publicly shared if anyone has watched my interview in this room, it was only 11 months ago. It was only just 11 months ago. It wasn't such a
Was
long
that when
time.
I reached out to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was only just 11 months ago. And the person, Flourish, Shining Light Show, a lot of people watch her stuff and think, oh, it was some fancy interview. I've known her since she was 10.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, if I didn't nurture that relationship, if we didn't cultivate that relationship, I probably wouldn't be on that show. And I probably most likely wouldn't be in this room. Again, with Mernike, I've known Rennie since like year 1 in uni. Kemi, I've known Kemi, when I knew Kemi, my brother was already in university, and then he introduced me to Kemi like, this is one of the people that they
Like
have
your
sense.
big- yeah.
Yes, should be your big sister. So I was in year 1, I was 16, right? So have these relationships nurtured me? Yes. And am I intentional about giving back to people as well? Yes. So I've said, handle your own issues, repurpose relationships. Also seek to be a blessing to other people, seek to pour out into other people. The last thing I would say really is that have a posture of learning and healing. I'll say it this way. I have a friend who does excellent work around emotional wellness and soul prosperity, as she calls it, which is a thing, right? We're friends, we're age mates. However, I'm conscious that our age is not the metric for our success. Let me break that down. We're age mates, right? But we're not grace mates. That girl has something she carries, and she's good at it. I'm going to put my head down and learn from her. So those are ways I would say you can use relationships. You can also use even pair relationships to decompress. Some people may not have access to therapy.
Yeah.
Right? You may not have access to therapy. You may not have access to help in a professional setting. But sharing your experiences with other people, sensible people, please, gives you...
Did you hear that? Sensible people.
Yeah, not random people. I mean, you have to be purposeful about... This may sound harsh, but I'll say it the way it is. You're
Say
not a
it.
dog. You shouldn't eat from everywhere, right? You should know who carries value enough for you to subject your mind and your spirit to, right? Identify toxic relationships. If it's not working, it's not working, right? And have clear and healthy boundaries. You can be a blessing to me without usurping control over my life. I have the right to say yes and to say no, and I maintain that right. I have agency. So you can't, that you're supporting me on my journey doesn't mean you should hijack my agency, no. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chimamaka, for that. Thank you. Thank you. And it just reminds me of, Chimamaka said that you may not have the resources to go to therapy and all that, but it reminds me of a conference that we went to at the beginning of the year with some of my peers here, and they talked about the friendship bench, where the older generation would just sit down, and then anybody that had a question, anything that was bugging their minds, and they would ask any questions, and then they'll get that answer. I think that it's a research that was done in Zimbabwe. I think that we in this room, the older ones that have experienced things, I think that we should find ways of opening up, getting the younger ones closer to us, so that they can ask the questions that they want to ask, like creates that enabling environment. I have a very last question for... Yes.
The younger ones too. Can you hear me?
The big sister Chimamaka is talking.
The younger ones too have a responsibility. The Bible talks about, I think this is in Titus 2, that older women should, disciple, for lack of a better word. The younger ones have a responsibility. If you don't put your head down, you can't learn.
Exactly.
Right? And please ask the right questions.
Yes. The right question.
Following someone on Instagram is not, don't abuse access.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
So you come to the person's Instagram page and you ask them certain questions. If the person doesn't respond, don't say they are proud or they are rude. Go back and check your question to thyself. True. If the positions were swapped.
Yeah.
As I'm Nigerian, I'm Igbo, like Marion Wege. Respect yourself. Have some dignity too. As you are trying to network, please.
Exactly. Please just don't go there and just say hey. Greet. Greet. I'm sure Auntie Josephine is the best person to even have this excerpt because she's an international excellence etiquette coach on excellence. Like, greet. So I have one last question to ask. Sadiq, it goes to you and it will go to Chimamaka as well. So in being resilient, is it okay to question God? I'm sure this is a question that is on the mind of many of you. Is it okay to question God? The reason why I'm saying that is that there's been a time in my life when my sisters and I felt like the stepchildren of God. And one of my sisters is actually in here. And I know that when Auntie Josephine sang the song, Will Your Anchor Hold in the Storms of Life, my sister met my dad that had been sick for a number of years with blood spatting all over his face and even on the walls. And she still has that memory in her mind. And the reason why that song is so emotional to us is that when we rushed him to the hospital, I think my mother knew that it was the end. But she held her hands and she said, can we sing this song? And I remember the three of us, we are only girls, the three of us with my mother singing this song. And my father that was almost lifeless. So the question I put to both of you is that in this journey, is it okay to question God?
Yeah, you should question God and you should seek for answers. And in your quest of questioning God, it should also cause you to pray hard, because I'm a testimony of God's, I can say I'm an epitome of God's grace in my life, looking at how far God brought me from the merry pit up on the stone or up the hill. An amazing journey. I've traveled almost, last 2 years, I traveled almost all the countries in Europe, shooting and filming, festivals.
Clap. No, you're not clapping for him, you're clapping because of God's goodness.
Yes. And I met the president of Ghana a couple of times I traveled to Turkey to shoot one of the policies of the government, one ambulance, one constituency policy. I did a documentary film on it. And I went to Portugal to shoot Afro Nation. I went to Amsterdam, Germany,
so the
France,
goodness of, so it's okay to question God.
Now, one thing we should also know is that what God cannot do does not exist.
Can I hear some NSPPD fans in the house?
I have a very serious testimony. Like 3 days ago,
share it.
Like the beginning of this year was beginning to be very great. Like I had a contract with a brand, Lamborghini, and I was supposed to do media content for them. So we signed a 1-year contract. We started the production, doing billboards, TV commercials and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, so I put it on my IG. I was happy. And all of a sudden, we present visuals. The client says no. We present that. The client says no. We present that. It's like, what's happening? So I called my team. I was like, Charlie, what do we do? All of a sudden, the client went blind, like went off. He wasn't calling us for anything, no production. He called like we are managing the social media as well. So we're like, we should release the social media logins.
So he called everything off.
Like I was there, that was last 3 weeks. I was there and the client sent a letter of termination.
Okay.
At 10:52.
PM or AM?
AM.
Okay.
And at 11:40, another client has sent another contract, same day.
Wow.
And this is a government agency, very big.
Wow, that's
They're doing a full reconstruction and redevelopment for their ministry. And we are shooting an entire documentary. It's going to last for 5 years, and we are doing every year.
So you see, God of compensation from 1 year to 5 years. So pray.
It's serious. And
so pray.
And before this happened, I remember I was lying down and I was telling my team, nothing was happening, no work.
the Bible says, I think it's Hebrews 6, who through faith and patience obtained the promise. I cannot have faith or patience if I don't have perspective. So you ask questions so you gain clarity and perspective. Then you can have faith and patience that will keep you on the journey to obtaining the promise.
Thank you so much. So on this note, I just want to say that God is definitely with each and every one of you. And it's all part of the plan. Remember that. Remember your identity in Christ. That God is sovereign. God loves you. The plans that he has for you are fantastic plans. God does not have plans to harm you in any way. And like Chimamaka said, you can ask God questions, but do not question his sovereignty. So Sadiq and Chimamaka would like to say a big thank you for this session. Can we have the convener so that we take a quick picture?
I think someone has the person. Someone has the person. Yeah. Somebody raised it.
We can take one question, yes. Can anyone help us with the microphone? Yes, we can. Okay. Thank you so much. And thanks to Morenike for also bringing this together, because you can tell that these are real life stories, and with God all things are possible. Thank you. How did you all feel about the session on emotional healing and self-discovery? The way I all think is like, everybody is just, you are so sober, you are thinking, you are reflecting. Anyway, we have 2 more sessions to go on maximizing our 20s and our 30s. Yes. So we have, the next session is a networking and branding yourself, visibility. It's not a session, it's actually with our keynote speaker. Give me 1 minute. You know, moderator who is also MC. This is what happens. So she has 15 minutes to speak. A very powerful, vibrant woman who's here to speak on networking and personal branding visibility. She's a seasoned sales leader with over 13 years of experience in sales and business development. She's a trailblazer in her field with a track record of success in business development, partnership management, sales strategy, and building a high-performing sales team. Ladies and gentlemen, give her a round of applause. Because some of us had to run away from sales role. It's not easy to sell. Hey. And guess what? She's a lawyer who's turned into a sales leader. With a master's in business administration, she has used her sales skills to drive impressive business growth in various industries. Her expertise is in technology. You know, technology is a big thing. And in the telecommunications sector, just imagine, Wi-Fi and things could not be working if we don't have great minds like her. Span across license and cloud application, sales, strategy, key account management, revenue growth, business profiling. She's also a co-lead. She has also served as co-lead Nigeria for the Oracle Women's Leadership and and as the commercial director and executive member of the Women in Tech in Nigeria. She's also a dedicated volunteer. See, all of them here, they're volunteering their services, contributing her time and skills to organizations like WIMBIZ, Women for Change, and Markets Alliance. She has been recognized as one of the top 100 career women in Nigeria, and was recently hailed as top 50 women in tech and featured on the Business Day in business. So if you're seated here, you don't know Business Day. Business Day is like the BNFT, the Business and Financial Times of Ghana. So it's a big deal. She's married, happily married with 2 children, and she's reminded that God indeed keeps all his promises. I am privileged and I'm happy and I'm glad to welcome Madame Hannatu Akasim Adego Yega. Did I murder the name?
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I am very excited to be here. So my time has been reduced, so we're going to wrap this up quite quickly. But first of all, let me say thank you to Morenike. The fact that somebody can sit down and organize a conference, fantastic. I'm not a conference organizer. I don't even, it's not even, Kemi mentioned, if everybody organizes, I can't, but I can support. So I'm very happy that there are people like Morenike that help my ministry. So God bless you. God bless you, Morenike. And thank you to all of you that come out, because if we had this when we were younger, I think maybe we would have made a few, maybe less mistakes. Maybe my life wouldn't be so different, but the mistakes would be so many. So thank you for coming out. So please make sure you learn. Write something down, and that's why I have slides, because I really want you to write down some things, even though we're going to go quickly. And finally, which is going to come as a shock, I want to just give a standing ovation to Morenike's mom. I'm an only child, and I'm very close to my mom. So it's a privilege to have mothers that support. So thank you, Mommy, for being so supportive. Thank you. All right, so networking and personal branding, or whatever you want to call it. Next slide. My name is Hannatu Adebo. I help, well, let me not start with that first, but I lead and I build high-performing sales teams. I help businesses to choose their best data solution or whatever solution they need for their enterprise. And right now, because I have now a new focus, I help central banks around the world to choose the best supervisory solution for their business. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy making people feel good. So if you meet with me, I hope that you leave feeling better. So what this means is that if you put me in the desert, I will build a team for you. If you put me in front of your customers, I will sell a solution for you. And if you put me in front of somebody, I hope that the person feels better when they leave me, right? Next slide. So when we talk about networking, we tend to make, we think it just makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense for some people. But if you know the 6 degrees of separation, I'm a firm believer in that. You're 6 people away from the person you're looking for. Some people even say 4. So it might be a cousin, a nephew, whoever it is, but you're 6 people away from the person you're looking for. Unless you're looking for Obama or Oprah. Yeah? Maybe 16, can we say 16? But this year, I have a personal project to look for Indra Nooyi. If you don't know her, she was the president of PepsiCo. Best believe I'm going to find her, because I'm already thinking, who are my 6 people? You're 6 people away from the person you're looking for. So don't underestimate it. My whole career has been built, by the grace of God, on networking. Finding one person that knows one person that knows one person. True story. Last year, in October, November, I was let go from Oracle. My role was made redundant. And I remember one of my bosses, he kept telling me, Anatu, the reason why you can't find anybody that feels sorry for you is because they know your network. Nobody, and I wanted somebody to just hold my hand and tell me, sorry, God will do it. I didn't find. Because everybody just thought, Anatu, you have a good network, right? So dig deep in your network and you source yourself out. So I did that. I dug deep in my network. I was very careful with how I said it. You would never catch me saying, I lost my job, because I didn't lose it. Cannot take anything from me. Cannot take it from me when the Holy Spirit is there. Can't be me. So I didn't lose my job. I was very careful how I said it. If you learn nothing from that, the first thing you should learn, and please write it down, curate your own story. How you say it matters, because how you say it is how they will continue to tell it. So that's the first thing about personal branding, right? So back to the story. Sometime in February, a random friend I met randomly at the airport last year. So it's not up to a year I've known her. Okay, now it's a year now. She just called me and said, somebody's looking for a blah, 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 blah. I want to send your CV. That's all. My current role, I didn't apply. It was never listed. It was simply a referral that somebody gave one evening at Radisson Blu because I was top of mind. Can you see how networking works? Perfect. Next slide. I want to start with what networking is not, because we tend to all think, we all know what it is, Networking is not about gathering calling cards, right? I used to be that. I have cards from 10 years ago. It's one of my red flags, right? It's not about gathering calling cards. It's not about having a full phone book, right? If they're just there and you're not doing anything, it's useless, right? It's not about being popular. The most popular person doesn't have the best network. You've seen it happen, right? Most popular person. It's not even about being friendly. It's good, but it's not about being friendly. You don't have to be friendly. You just have to put on a show, but we'll talk about that later, right? It's not something that only rich people do. We tend to think it's only for the upper class, the higher ups. It's not an elitist thing. And the most powerful one, networking doesn't only happen at conferences. It's not at gatherings or at parties, because we think, you have to gather a group of people together, right? Networking happens at the elevator. I met somebody, Eugene, where are you? Oh, she left. I met a lady, hi Eugene. I met somebody at the elevator. It happens on the line at the supermarket, because you talk to somebody and that person knew somebody. It happens on Instagram. Half of these people here, this one inclusive, this is my madam here. It's Instagram. We start to comment, you start to like, you network, you see in real life, and you hug like you've been friends since you were 10, right? It happens over Zoom calls. Some of you get on Zoom meetings, and because they say turn off your camera, let me just tell you now. The first and the easiest way to get around this, turn on your cameras. Look ready, be ready. Turn it on, so that when you chat with somebody, they're like, who is this person, who is this person? Or at worst, please have a picture on your Zoom profile. Please, I beg you. I think it's rude when you just have your name, but let me not shake any tables here. Anyway, next slide. So what is networking? It is your ability to connect, to build, to nurture a relationship, something that will build to later. I think one of the things I didn't mention when I was with Oracle, before I joined Oracle, I had a network. During my time at Oracle, I had a network. After Oracle, I continued to network. It's a constant revolving cycle, okay? If you don't build your network, it will show. One day it will show. So when you're building your network, what's the end game? The end game is value. The value you deliver and the value you receive or retain. The value you deliver. So you always have to think of it from a point of value. What value am I giving? How am I useful to you? Or how can I be useful to XYZ? Because I need them to help me in XYZ. So always remember there's an end game to networking. It's not as you feel like, right? I don't want to talk about feelings, yes, but anyway. Next slide. Your network is your social capital. You can actually quantify your network. We always hear it, your network is your net worth. We don't believe it. Let me tell you how that works. I've hired people because of referrals. So when you hear things like, they hired somebody they know, don't be angry. Do you want them to hire who they don't know? Why? You used to go and know the person. Stop laughing. I've hired people. After we did interview, is when I said, okay, please go to the website and apply for the role. Wow. Come on. If you're looking for big tech, that's the way to big tech. There's the grace of God, though. Please, I'm a Christian, no. There's the grace of God. But best believe, people hire who they know. Does it make them the right person? Of course not. Have we found out ultimately that this person did not know how to do the job? Of course. But did they get the job that day? Yes. Because my boss will simply just look at this and say, well, please, who referred them? Okay, this person came from this person. Okay, one. That's it. It's just a referral thing. So your network literally can translate to your net worth. So please don't get upset. Don't be angry. I tell people, in the corporate world, especially for those of you that go in there, don't hate the rules. Don't hate the game. Before you even play it, learn the rules. Adapt accordingly. Do you understand? When you hate the game, you spend all your time wasting time. Learn the rules and adapt accordingly so that you make it fit how you want it to fit your life. Next slide. All right, let's go. So networking, and I need to talk about this. And I think Kemi touched on it. It's vertical, it's horizontal, and it's downward. So the vertical, first person, is the CEOs, the upper class, the people you want to, the people you're aspiring to be like. So that's the vertical networking. It's very key. It's very needed because obviously you're trying to get something, you're trying to do something. Your peers, horizontal. Either your peers, your mentees, your aburos. What's aburo in Ghanaian? But anyway, your younger ones, So you can network horizontally. So you always have to do that. Always remember you have to network horizontally. But you know the most important one? The next one. Networking downward. You know, because we always assume I don't really need them. It's a lie. The kingmakers are stronger than the king. If you do not know that, know it now. My mom always used to tell me that when you get somewhere, the first people you should meet, your support staff. Whoever is support staff, secretaries, gatemen, anything, those are the people you need to know. They're the ones that will tell you what's happening. My first house, when I got married, we were looking for a house. And I assume, now that I think about it, maybe because he was Hausa, my husband is Yoruba, maybe he just didn't want to sell it to one of them. So he was just ignoring us. The landlord was ignoring us. And I saw the driver, and he said, yeah, one of us now. Okay, come. And he told me, Alhaji likes masa. Masa is rice cakes. He likes masa from this woman in Zone 5 in Abuja. You will buy it with this number of meat and this amount of soup. We are going to be in the office on this day at this time. Who got a house at the end of the day? Because I network downward. Don't ever underestimate people that are downward. They are the crucial people you need. When my team members and I go for meetings, I know how well they've done in their account from the gate. You know there's some places you go to, nobody's supposed to park. You just imagine, oh boy, how far? And you're wondering, wow. I remember we went for a meeting once in the Ministry of Defense, and it was either a corporal, a senior person that came down to get us, and I just thought, I had a new level of respect for my team. So tomorrow when she was telling me the updates, I said, you're all right, because at least I know. So when you network downward and you show it, people will trust you because they're like, if you can do this, up is not hard. To meet people, it's not hard. That's not hard, right? So next slide. So basics of networking. Let's quickly run through that. And when you see me friendly like this and you see me networking, because I love to meet people, it's now a problem. So I have a default smile on my face. I didn't say I don't know your name outside, though. But I have a default smile on my face because I don't know where I remember half the people I meet. So you have to just keep, why are you laughing? It's true. You have to keep smiling. So even it happened in the airports in Ghana. I met somebody and then my husband called me and said, oh, this lady said you saw her. I said, I did. He said, yes. He said, if we hugged. I said, But at least she cannot say I was not nice. Right? So the basics of networking. And okay, what I was trying to tell you. I wish I could tell you when I became this person. I wish I could tell you that, oh, this thing happened in my life, and then I became this really friendly person. I was very shy when I was younger, painfully shy. I was one of these, just ignore me, wallflower, I don't want to be seen, don't want to be heard. Now, And it's not that bad. But I'm now the girl that can talk to a stranger on the flight 6 hours. No problem. I can talk to anybody. It's not hard. Because I have seen, obviously, what it can do for me and how it can help me. So what are the basics of networking? Let's start. Show up. The risk we're running with this generation, I'm sorry to say it, is that you guys don't know that there's a lot of showing up to be done. We're not lucky. We actually put in the work. We woke up, we walked lots, and we came. So that you even did that, you showed up. So thank you for showing up. 2 more minutes? 2 more minutes. Okay. That means even we're on personal branding. All right. So show up, dress nice. And I know there's somebody saying, Hannah, so I've done all these things. How am I just supposed to walk up to somebody and just talk to the person? Start small. Start with a group of 3 people. Expand it. You know, when you go for sessions or whatever it is you go for, start small. Always remember that it's possible to start small and build connections. Next one. Start with a compliment. That's the easiest way. I like your dress. I like what you do. And please be genuine. Don't lie. Okay. I like your hair. You look really nice. You smell nice. That's it. People tend to go from this to, when you compliment them. So please always start with a compliment. It's the easiest way to do that. I'm not sure where she is now. Listen. Actually pay attention. When people are talking to you, pay attention so that you can ask intelligent questions. There's a reason we ask you to listen. And prepare. Don't wing it. Don't ever wing it. So when you're going to meet somebody, so I don't know who mentioned, I think the gentleman that sat here. Prepare. Ask yourself, what has this person done? What have they written? What have they done? Event, anything. So you can say, I liked this event and blah, 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 blah. And the person is like, somebody's actually paying attention. And then they want to answer your questions. They want to speak with you. So please, always pay attention and always prepare ahead. So that even when they ask you something, you can ask an intelligent question back. Okay? Next slide. Strategies for networking, and I really like this part. It might make some of you think I'm a very transactional person, but hello, it has helped my life, so too bad. Look at networking as a job. It's a task. It's not a because I feel like. So there are 2 things. If I'm going to an event and I just want to meet people and grow my network and be friends with all of you, that's one thing. But if it is a 6-degree mission, meaning I need to find somebody that can find somebody, I go with a list. These people must be met. Even if we go together, I'd rather take an Uber back because I must meet these people. So go with that list. Know that there's some events that you cannot toy with them. Always prepare yourself, right? Identify the events, obviously. Make sure that you are seeing where you need to go to. What industry are you in? Even if you're in a business or if you have a business, what industry can you go to? Or what industry events can you attend? What can you do to broaden your scope? And always remember that when you go for these industry events and you meet people, you're climbing the corporate ladder. We're in the season right now where all the bigwigs, in quotes, are realizing that their time is running out. If you don't know it, I'm telling you now. Their time is running out. Not that they're going to die, but they realize that, their relevance is ending. So we're in a legacy season. People are looking for people to pour into right now. So this is the best time for you. This is the best time. So make yourself, I tell people, I say, are you worth the investment? Ask yourself, like Kemi said, when you have those 2/3, go and ask, what do I need for the rest? Are you worth the investment? Are you worth somebody actually pouring themselves out into, right? But you can only meet them at industry events. Leverage on social media. There's nothing you ask. If you ask me what color is the sky now, I'll ask ChatGPT. When it first came out, I used to abuse my husband. You're so lazy. How will you not think yourself? You use your brain. What's wrong with you? Now, if you send me an email, I'll just carry it, paste it in ChatGPT, give me a reply, paste it back. Okay, I'll edit it small. So that it sounds like me. But yeah, leverage on social media. Leverage on Instagram, leverage on anything. LinkedIn. If I can't find you on LinkedIn, you don't exist too. Right now, where I am, no. If I can't find you on LinkedIn, you do not exist to me. And I'm wondering why. So the only people that are not on LinkedIn are maybe some chiefs or people that you don't need it. No, I don't mean traditional chiefs. No. I mean actual chiefs of corporations, captains of industries. There's a level you reach that LinkedIn is not your problem. But for us, LinkedIn is our problem. who are there every day. Any post you see me put on, it's ChatGPT. I just put in, tell me the 5 problems of sales leaders. Edit it, put it on LinkedIn. Somebody, oh, I saw your post. Thank you. This is my brain, come on. Thank you. And I have my hashtag, sales leader. How can I help you? I'm ready like that, right? So utilize that. Join online platforms. There must be some platform here that applies to Ghanaians, but join them. Whatever it is that applies to your business, your career, join them. Okay? I think the last thing would be, timing. This networking thing, and this applies to when you're doing the 6 degree of separation mission. When you see somebody that you need to meet, gauge the time. Remember the sons of Issachar? Understand it. Because you have to know if the person is in a good mood, if the person is, or if, let's say, the person has lost somebody, it would be a good time to go and say, I just want to say sorry. Do you understand? Some things you can just say but you have to gauge the time. It's easy to talk to people that are big when they're alone. You see them standing by themselves. Oh, ma, do you need anything? How can I help you? That's all. It's only a mad person that will not say, this is the issue is. Right? So don't be afraid. Just gauge the time. Look at their face. And I shouldn't say look at their face. Don't be deceived by it. Because if you see my face, you might think I'm not a nice person. But don't be deceived. But gauge the time. Timing is key. So please don't be unaware. That's the word. Follow up. That's the one all of us suffer. Because even me too. We're still struggling. But try. When you get the person's number, send them a text, send them a hi, like something on Instagram. Social media has made it so easy for us. You can connect with anybody. You don't have to call the person and say, just wanted to check up on you. No. You can just like and say, hi, what's up? How are you doing? It's easy. And you feel you guys have communicated. So follow up on Instagram or however you can communicate with the person. But try and follow up so that as the day hot, the person is remembering you. Which is why you now need to prepare so that you say something with sense. So that you now say, oh, remember I was the one that said this. And people say, oh, yes, I remember. I hope I'm making sense to you. Fantastic. Next slide. And you can skip till it all comes out. Because somebody here is still going to say, and after all these things you're saying, it's not working. It's not me. I will tell you the 5 people you need to know. So let me even finish the slides. Just the networking, and you can drive me. The 5 people you need to meet. You need a coach or a mentor, you need a sponsor, you need a professional peer, i.e. your colleague, somebody that you can talk to. You need a recruiter. Even if you have a business, you need some HR person, because unless you're selling to yourself, you might want to sell to some companies. But where I want you to focus on is the networker and connector. If you're not a networker, you need to find your connector. So your connector is the person that identifies people. My husband is my connector. I don't used to watch news. It's my red flag. I don't watch network news. I don't read newspaper. So if he has not told me, there's a problem. But when I tell him, I need to find the MD of this, my husband will say, you know that MD you're looking for? That's his guy in front. How he knows, I don't know. How? Because he probably knows them, but he doesn't really talk to them. Or he will say, that guy you're looking for, that's him there. My job as a networker is to go and say hi. So you need to identify what you are, and find your opposites. It will help you if you cannot do it by yourself. And on this note of marriage, because I always have to talk about it, and I know this is not what this sends me to do, but I must say it. Who you marry can break or make your career. Your entire destiny can be broken. I'm sure mom is smiling and clapping in her mind. Who you marry can make or break your career. It is extremely important. If somebody walks in this door now and says, Hannatu, there's a role in Dubai, come and do this. Best believe I've moved. When we get home, we can talk about it later. What's up? They called me and said I should go to Dubai. If you don't if you don't have that kind of confidence, everything I said, it's a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. There's no way you will advance in your career if you don't have support. So please, keep that in mind as you're choosing your love person. Your love person. All right. So skip the next slide so I can run through it. I was going to quickly touch on personal brand. 2 minutes, I'll be done. Personal branding is the deliberate way you curate your message How are you telling the story? When I left Oracle, I was very careful. The period, so they told me October 25th or so, and my last day was November 30th. I was very careful that not one person till tomorrow can say, when this thing happened to Anatu, she was sad, she was depressed. Me, and I have God. It's not possible. I worked till the last day. I think my boss even forgot my last day was my last day because I worked well. So much so that guess who they called 2 days ago to say, there's a new role in Oracle, do you want it? Me? Sorry. That's not the testimony. The testimony is, guess who says, oh, thank you so much, but I don't want it. That's what networking can do. When I went to my husband, he said, wait, please, let me be thinking of this thing. So how did you say it? How did it happen? That's what networking can do. That I'm not at their mercy. I have found something else, something they can't even afford me at this point. That's how my network has helped me. Okay? So, your personal brand, how are you telling your story? What do people say about you? How do people think of your business? How do people think you can achieve? Do they think that if I give this person, I can trust this person? Right? Next slide. You are your own personal brand, and I want to run through this for a particular reason. Craft your brand. Curate your story. That's what CNN does. They tell us a story, we start to feel emotional about one party, whether it's the right party or not. You know, that's what happens on the news. Craft your brand. Make sure that your story is told by you. Okay? What's your elevator pitch? You remember, that's how I introduced myself. If you wake me up from sleep, I will tell you, I build and I lead high-performing sales teams. I help organizations choose the best solution. It doesn't have to have where you work, because that can change. It doesn't have to have your job title, because that can change as well. It just has, if you put me in a desert, this is what I will do for you. So craft your elevator pitch. Make sure that it has, I help, I can do, because that's all anybody wants to know. How can you help me? Don't come and tell me how the things are solving problems. No. And I think one thing I should add is, if you are a business owner and you're looking for investors, because I talked to somebody about that recently, you have to ask yourself, what are the buzzwords for this person? So if the person I'm speaking to, he says he makes houses out of containers or something like that. I said, when you're looking for an investor, you need to start telling them about sustainability. What's their legacy? Don't tell them that you're saving the children. They don't care. Tell them how it's helping them. How does it make them look good? You need to ask yourself, what is important to this person? What do they want to hear? If you're talking to a CEO, don't be telling them how it's going to solve. No, this is how it's going to work, and this is how it's going to save you money. So that tomorrow when you go for your board meeting, you have saved this amount of money. It's okay. So please make sure that when you're crafting this thing, it speaks to the person you're talking to. What's your social media footprint? I remember in 2022, anything that was funny on Instagram went on my stories. Till somebody said, if you're looking for a good laugh, go to Anatu's page. I said, that's all my page is known for you to go and laugh. I'm not doing it again. It's true now. Come and learn something else. I might not put up the stories, or I might share the story with somebody else, but don't come to my page just to laugh. Because tomorrow, when the embassy is looking for my social media, they will now see that I was laughing as Prince Charles. They now say, that's another matter. I'm almost done, I promise. No, this is it. I'm done. After this, I'm done. Be authentic. I was telling Morenike, I said, when we always say, keep up with the Joneses have died. They're dead. Be yourself. When you do something on Instagram or social media, let it sound like you. Let it be yourself. Don't be afraid. There's nobody you're keeping up with. It's a waste of time. And there's nobody like you. I can skip the next one. So, next slide. So what's the point of all this? What's the point of all these things we're doing, all these conferences? What's the point? Next slide. It's because talent is no longer enough. So now, if you're having a job interview, you realize that they want to speak with you. They give you a case study. They ask you to, what are your thoughts? What do you think? All this period when I was job hunting, my husband said, have you prepared for your interview? I said, I can't. This generation of interviews, all you need to know is tell me about yourself. Everything after that is open for discussion. What are your thoughts on how you can relate with this person? How do you prepare for that? So you need to learn how to have social skills, soft skills. Talent is not enough. Businesses need more. And then the next thing, which is my personal thing, because all this is for an audience of one. Everything I do, and I tell people, everything I do is so that all of you will look at it and say, oh, wow, she does well. Father, Lord, we give you glory. That's all. It's not for you to be popular or have 1 million likes or to, it's not for that. We don't do it for the likes. We don't do it for your applause. Everybody here, I can beg this to everybody that I know here. It's not for your applause. It's not for people to say, well done. No. It's so that you will look at us and give glory to God. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannatu. A resounding round of applause. Thank you so much.